Okay, Christine and Alexandra, take it away.
Thanks, Eddie, and thank you all for attending today. What we discovered about 2 years ago is doing this type of call up front will hopefully allay any of the fears you have. As my colleague Ken Hansen, who I don't see on the screen yet, maybe he's on one of the other views, he says the word audit scares people. You think of the IRS or some other person coming in. And what we're doing is an audit, but we don't want it to be a scary audit for you. It's an opportunity for you to get a free checkup about some of the basic compliance and legal things that a small nonprofit should be aware of and need to be compliant with in order to stay on the right side of the law. Ultimately, I can't force you to change your practices to do what we suggest you do, but hopefully you'll say, yeah, that makes sense. It's a good corporate governance practice, or hey, we have to disclose that to our funders. I didn't know that. So we'll try to give you rational reasons for why you may want to do what we suggest. It's actually going to be an easy process, but before I get to that, I thought I'd just tell you a little bit about who we are. Alexandra or Allie, myself, and Kent Hansen are with Pro Bono Partnership. We're a small nonprofit ourselves. We're celebrating our 25th anniversary this year. We operate in New Jersey, Connecticut, and the lower Hudson Valley of New York. We provide transactional pro bono legal services, things like employment law questions, contracts reviews, corporate governance, bylaws review, real estate transactions. If you rent property, either as the landlord or as a tenant, we can help you with the review of your lease. So we do transactional pro bono. We don't do any litigation and we don't represent individuals. So if you get sued, we can give you a little advice about what your next steps are, but we can't help you with your litigation. We do our work through our staff lawyers here in New Jersey. There's 3 of us, as well as a large contingent of volunteer lawyers throughout the tri-state area. In fact, we have some volunteers across the country who help us out. And we match you up with a volunteer that has the skill set to answer your questions. The OFBI audit is really designed to allow us to assess your current status as a nonprofit. We're going to send you eventually a questionnaire that you need to fill out. I think it's about 16 pages long. It may sound long, and the reason it's 16 pages is the same reason I have 3 computer monitors in front of me. I have a hard time reading, so I have big font. I have lots of white space between each item in the questionnaire. So don't let the length scare you. It's actually pretty easy to go through. It's not a quiz. We're not going to publish your results and tell everybody you failed it if you fail it. You really can't fail it. Just do your best to answer the questions, and then we'll go over it with you after we review it. As a part of the questionnaire, we ask you to supply us with a number of documents. We'll ask you some from very basic documents and some other documents that you may not have. You just simply tell us, we don't have these documents, not applicable to us. If you do have a document, but you can't find it, make a note of that. We don't want you to spend hours digging through file cabinets in your basement trying to find that one document you know you had 20 years ago, but you can't put your fingers on it. We might be able to tell you how you can order a copy online and get it for 15 cents, which is a lot cheaper than spending 5 hours looking for the document, which nobody's going to do anyway. So again, we'll make it as painless as possible. And then there are some of you, actually there are, I believe, 19 of you that are going to need to apply to become pro bono partnership clients. 14 of you we have never worked with before. 5 of you we worked with years ago, but you need to apply to become a client again. We have that process in place where we'll make it easy for you to understand what you need to do. It's a short questionnaire. You answer those questions, you submit some basic documents like your certificate of incorporation, your bylaws, your IRS determination letter, 8 or 9 different documents. And once we get the questionnaire and the documents, the lawyers will start reviewing them. Takes us, depending on how many audit responses come in from all the different grantees, it usually takes us a month or 2 to get through everything. And then we get back to you, have a call, talk about what we found. If we saw problems, we will send you some information about how you can solve those issues. If there's legal issues that really need to be looked into in great detail, if you're open to it, we'll line up a volunteer lawyer to help you solve those issues. And these projects, if there's multiple projects, can be staged out over time, so you don't have to deal with multiple lawyers at the same time. It'll be what you want that fits your schedule and your abilities within your organization. So, Ali, if you could bring up take over the screen and bring up the list of the nonprofits, that would be great.
Can you all see this?
Yep. Hopefully you should have received this last evening from Zainab. It lists all the 22 grantees that have to be audited this year. We broke it down by the 3 pro bono partnership lawyers, myself, Kent, and Ali. We provided our phone number and email address. And just looking under my name, for example, first, you'll see the 7 groups that are going to work with me. And depending on your status, you have to complete one of these 2 applications. As I mentioned, only 5 of the groups are past clients, so they would fill out the past client application. Everybody else would fill out the new client application. Frankly, the applications are pretty much the same. The other thing I do want to mention, each of our applications mentioned there's a processing fee. We have waived that processing fee for the OFBI grantee, so don't ignore the whole idea about paying a processing fee. That's not on the table here. There's a few clients, 3 of them, who are already existing ongoing clients with whom my colleague Ken Hansen's already working on other projects. Ali, if you could just scan down to the full part of Kent's list, that would be great. Perfect. You'll see there's 3 groups. They don't have to fill out the application. Kent will be in touch with them and provide them the questionnaire to fill out. And so they're going to move to stage 2 right from the start. So Ali, if you could go to our website. And I just want to highlight a couple things on our website for you. One's going to be, we have an education center or a learning center where you can find a lot of resources if you're looking for basic corporate governance guidance, types of things you need to do as a nonprofit. We'll be able to point you to some resources there. If you have a fair number of employees, we have a lot of employment resources. Ali's, nothing's coming up yet.
She's working on it. I see.
Okay. Okay, there we go. So there's our main webpage, probonopartner.org. We have a learning center where you can see upcoming webinars, as well as you can read some articles and on-demand webinars if you want to attend them. We have a wide variety of articles on different topics. We highly commend it to you if you have the time to take a look at some of the topics we have. A really helpful guide for small nonprofits. And then back up at the top of our homepage, we have a drop-down menu for nonprofits clients. And when you go there, you'll be able to see the different types of services that we provide, as well as the request for legal assistance, which Ali's going to click on. And you'll find out a little bit more about our application process if you want to. But the Word document that was sent to you yesterday already has the links you need to click on. I already asked Ali to do this before I created that document yesterday afternoon. So you really don't have to go to this web page. But if you want to learn more about the application process, it's on these pages. But it's not necessary if you don't want to. So pick the application that applies to you, click on that link in that Word document, fill out the application. You're going to see a number of documents we request. We would ask that you try to collect those documents first. Have them ready on a PDF, have the documents in separate PDFs, and then complete the application. Right after you complete the application, send an email to either the email address that's shown on the application or to your assigned lawyer with the documents that we requested. It's really helpful if we get both the application and the documents on the same day. So that we have everything processed together and we'll get everything set up. After we complete the new client application process, we'll send you a client engagement letter that sets forth what we're going to do for free for you. And that letter will cover your future projects. You won't get a new engagement letter every time we have a new project with you. But we need to get that letter back before we can start actually doing the audit for you, because we have to create that attorney-client privilege. And without that privilege in place, anything we do for you would be discoverable if you were ever to get sued. So we got to make sure that letter's in place to protect the best interests of your organization. Now, what we would highly recommend is after this call, either today or tomorrow, if you could send an email to the lawyer you're assigned to with your contact information, your full name, the way you like it presented, your title, the name of your nonprofit, your phone number, your email address, as well as a few days and times at the beginning of December when you'd be available for a quick call with your assigned lawyer who can answer any particular questions that you have about the process, any concerns you have about timing. You'll see the application, which maybe you'll have filled out before then. You can wait till after that phone call to fill out the application, but take a look at the application. And if you have any questions about the application or concerns, talk to the assigned lawyer about those issues, and we'll try to make it as easy as possible for you. We don't want to make this a burden for you. I think the best thing that happens after these programs are over is when one of those grantees says to me, "Oh, I'm so sorry I gave you a hard time about this. This was really fruitful. I learned so much I didn't know we were doing wrong." And that's usually the situation with these projects. This really will be a beneficial exercise for you. And the value you will get out of it is directly proportional to the amount of effort you put into it. Filling out the questionnaire completely, providing as many of the documents that you can that are reasonably available to you. So you in many respects control your destiny in this situation. The only thing you don't control is if we don't hear from you after a month, and we've tried contacting you several times, we have to go get the pit bull, Eddie. And Eddie will be on your tail. So we give you 3 strikes before we reach out to Eddie. But that usually is not something we have to do. So that's basically what I wanted to cover. If anybody has any questions, you should feel free to raise some of them now, or send that email to us with a few days and times early December when you can talk with us, and then you can raise those with the assigned lawyer that you have.
Yes, Christine, I do have a question. This is Armstead Johnson from UPI, United Progress in Trenton. We're with Kent Henson.
Yep.
I might have missed it because I came in a little bit late. This first part, when we do the application, when is that due? When are you expecting that from us?
We'll take it anytime from you. We would ideally like to have it done no later than the middle of December.
Okay, got it.
Because we want to start moving this process forward.
Okay.
And it's going to take a couple of weeks to process the applications, review the preliminary materials that you submit, and then to set up a call. We're going to have 19 organizations submitting applications for 3 of us. That's going to take up a lot of our time too.
Okay.
So to the extent we can get them coming in, we can start lining them up, processing them. If they all come in on December 15th, that means we're not going to be able to review them probably until after the December holidays. So to the extent you can help us get those applications in sooner than later, that would be appreciated. Otherwise, we may have lousy Christmas holidays.
Okay.
And I don't want to blame you for that, Armistead. We love working with you.
Okay.
And you, because we worked with you at your prior organization.
Yeah, you have. Yeah, I know everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Ken. I know you. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. We have.
And can you vouch for us? We're good.
Oh yeah, they're very good. Over the years, you've done a lot of things. Reviewed our personnel policies. One organization, we had to purchase we were actually selling a building, and you helped us with the closing. So pro bono, I really believe in pro bono. Matter of fact, I haven't followed up. I have a call into Kent about another issue, and he called me back, but I have something I have to talk to him about.
Okay.
Very soon.
So there you have it. We're good people to work with. We'll make it as easy as possible for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them now or to reach out to others. Kelly?
Hi, yes, Christine, hi. You said earlier that the fee was waived. Is that the $295
Yep.
And $495 that I'm seeing on the application?
Right, right.
So we do not have to process a payment or write your check?
No payment or check.
Okay.
We charge our new clients, depending on their revenues, $295 or $495 as a processing fee, because it takes a lot of time to process organizations. We do a lot of preliminary work to go through the process. And then for groups that are past clients that we haven't worked with in over 2 years, we charge a $295 fee. and we're waiving that as well. So if you see any references to 295, 495, that's not an obligation you have to pay for that. We've waived it as part of this process. So it's
Okay.
extra benefit you get our other clients don't get. So
And
you're
if we
already,
have any questions, we go to Kent, right?
if you're assigned to Kent, correct.
Okay.
Which group are you with, Kelly?
Kent, commitment, the first one.
Okay, yep, okay, great.
All right, thank you.
I've got a question, Christine. So just give us a broad overview of the documents that they may have to, submit.
Okay, as I mentioned, 16 or 17 pages, big font, lots of white space. It's not like your credit card application that you can't read. Again, it's big because I can't read. I need big print. We're going to ask you a series of questions over 8 or 9 different areas, such as basic corporate governance issues. Do you have bylaws? Are you complying with certain provisions of your bylaws, or certain provisions we always see aren't complied, not always, but or sometimes aren't complied with by nonprofits? So we like to hear from you right up front. Are you complying with these? Lots of employment law questions. How many employees do you have? Do you have an employee handbook? Do you have an offer letter? We have some real estate questions, not many, but we have a few of those. We have questions about charities registration. Are you just registered in New Jersey, or do you registered in other states? We have questions about insurance coverage. We don't ask a lot of questions there, but we ask to find out what types of insurance you have. And then when we have a conversation with you near the end of the process, then we'll talk a little bit about what coverages you have and you don't have, and why you might want to consider having some additional type of insurance, especially if you have employees, for example, who are driving vehicles for you, or even volunteers driving vehicles for you. One of the things I learned in my first year at the partnership was many nonprofits can get something called employment practices liability insurance coverage to protect them if they're sued by their employees. And in the for-profit world, that's really expensive insurance coverage. But for nonprofits, it's relatively cheap and often a part of your directors and officers insurance coverage. And I mentioned that when I talk to the nonprofits about this. Hey, it's just something for you to consider next time you're talking to your insurance broker. What would it cost for us to add that to our insurance package? The benefits of it are really helpful. And let me just turn off this phone. If you do get sued, you get a lawyer provided for you who will provide the defense for you. Employment litigation can be really expensive. The reason it's relatively cheap in the nonprofit world is nonprofits typically don't get sued that frequently because you aren't deep pockets. The plaintiff lawyers pick targets that can pay big money. So the insurance can save you a lot of money. It's relatively cheap. So they're the types of basic areas we cover. There's a handful of questions. It's like a yes, no type of response, or A, B, and C. You pick the answer that fits your particular situation. Probably shouldn't take you more than an hour to complete, if that long. You might want to pick someone who's a little bit more familiar with your organization if you're relatively new. So maybe like the assistant executive director, or the person who's the finance manager of the organization, if you have those roles. And just do your best to answer those questions. There's no right or wrong answer when filling it out. We're not trying to trap you. We're just trying to spot areas where you might have some issues that we should discuss with you.
Denise, you had a question, Lanza?
I just wanted to mention that when I did try to open the link in the email, it told me there was a security issue. But while Christine was just talking, I went back to the website to make sure that that one would open, and it did. So I'm fine.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and if you right click on those links, if you're getting that type of issue, you'll see edit hyperlink, and just copy the hyperlink from that edit hyperlink thing. You can just cut and paste it into your URL. We're a legitimate website, so I'm not sure why you're getting blocked. But hey, today spam filters are designed to protect you. So
the other thing I'd like to say to everybody, I'm Eddie Laporte, Executive Director of the Office of Faith-Based Initiatives. Some of you came on late. Is that this is a really good opportunity to identify whom in your organization, if you have the staffing in place, to create a small team of 2 or 3 folks to go through this process, right? Go through the application process, understand what each section is asking, break it down by teams, identify a team leader, and let them go at it. Because it helps them better understand what are the documents that a nonprofit needs to have in place, and what's the process to making sure that those things get in place. For example, if you're having board issues, then this is maybe something that needs to be brought up to the board, and maybe those that you're grooming for leadership have never met the board, or have no idea how to communicate with the board, or maybe needs to write a report to you, Denise, to say, hey, Denise, we went through this process. We don't have A, B, and C under this one section. Do we have it or don't we have it? And if we don't have it, what are we going to do to get it? So it really empowers your staff. And listen, I don't know about you, but I used to work for nonprofits and I did not get paid. But I had leaders that took the time to teach me and groom me, right? And guided me through stuff like this. And initially I would be like, why are they giving me this stuff? But years later, I really benefited from understanding, what these documents really mean for a nonprofit and how they really help a nonprofit move forward. So it's a really good learning opportunity if you take it that way, right? Don't take it as a task that's burdensome. Take it as a learning opportunity and create a team of 2 and 3 folks and let them go at it and see how they, and it also allows you to evaluate their ability. Right? Do they have good analytical skills? Do they have really good writing skills? Can they figure out where these documents are at? Do they know how to navigate the New Jersey Department of Treasury, the Department of Community Affairs to get these documents? We don't have a current IRS 501c3 declaration letter. Do they know that they can go to the website, the IRS website, and download that directly from there? So it allows you to groom leadership and really evaluate those people that you think have an opportunity to lead in the organization. So that's the way I look at this as a leader, and I'm always about grooming leadership. So this may be something you might want to take a look at.
And just one caveat to that: when we ultimately get through this process and have to sit down over the phone, not in person, to talk about what we discovered during the audit, we have to have management only people on the call, because it'll be, the attorney-client privilege won't apply if you have a volunteer who's not a board member or a manager of the organization. It has to be someone what they call the control group. So you can have support folks helping you, non-managerial people helping you with pulling the materials together. But our ultimate conversation with you about our findings will be with someone from management.
Okay. Are there any other
For consultants too? Yeah.
Okay, so it should be management board members, right?
Right.
Okay, great. Any other questions?
I have one more, sorry.
Okay.
Sure.
So after you fill out the application, then there's a questionnaire, right? You submit all the documents, and when you're going to do your findings, there's going to be a follow-up call with a board member and such. Is that?
Yeah, whoever you designate it
Okay.
as to be the points of contact for it. Usually 2 people. If you have too many people on it, it sometimes gets hard to manage the phone call. And we'll walk you through everything. It could be minor things like on your bylaws. It's very common. We see bylaws that say you can remove a director without cause. That's not permissible in most nonprofits in New Jersey. And removing a board member without cause actually can get you in trouble down the road if the board member you threw off wants to go create trouble for you. So we try to catch those type of things to help you avoid some of these pitfalls. But that's the basic process. Only the three groups are going to go to the audit process now. Kent will be in touch with them. But I would again ask if you would all send an email to your assigned lawyer just to introduce yourself, provide us your full contact information. In a few days and times in early November when we can talk with you about the process to answer any specific questions. Feel free to go ahead and complete the application, the online application to become a client now, or you can wait till the time you have that call with us. Either approach works, whatever makes you feel more comfortable. And then we'll start moving the process forward.
Great. Now that I have a captured audience, your first quarter reports are due, right? November 30th. Try to really get them in. If your application status is at executed, Your assigned program manager has sent you an email with the webinar link on how to create and access your first quarter report. If you didn't do anything in the first quarter, meaning actual program implementation, and you didn't spend any money for the budget, just insert zeros. But if you've done planning, if you've met, if you've discussed, then you can insert that information in the narrative of the quarterly report. So again, if your application is not executed yet, then we will make sure that we will give you an extension. So if you execute it, please submit the report no later than November 30th. All right.
And that takes priority over completing our application.
Listen, everybody. So I recorded this orientation. Zainab will email everybody the link so you can share it with your team. Christine and Alexandra and Kent, I'll also send you the link as well. And if you have any questions, please contact your assigned pro bono attorney. All right, everybody.
Thanks.
Somebody had a question?
2 people.
Go ahead.
Marie? You're muted, Marie.
I was
There
just
we go.
waving.
Oh,
Anybody have any other questions?
Nope.
That was Ken. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for hopping on.
Thank you.
I told you it wouldn't be painful. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
right, bye-bye.
Thank you.